It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for another video here at Phoenix Handhelds. And 2 months ago, I reviewed the TrimUI Brick Hammer. And at that time, I thought I knew everything about this little metal machine. But after living with this device day in and day out for the past 8+ weeks, I'm asking myself a question I never expected to ask. Is this tiny 3.2-inch vertical handheld actually becoming one of my favorite gaming devices of the year? And more importantly, does it deserve a spot in your pocket? Stick around and find out right after this. Hey fam, Swati Kong Crap, P-Nick here for another review. And first, I want to thank you for joining me for another review on my channel. I know that I'm a small YouTuber still, and I know that you have thousands of other videos you could be watching on YouTube, let alone other platforms like Netflix and your favorite websites. So I want to genuinely express my gratitude for you joining me for another review. It means a lot to me that you're here, and I hope that you enjoy this video. For those who have watched my original review 2 months ago, you know my review structure. But for anyone that's new here, I want to walk you through my evaluation structure. I use 7 unique categories, and each of them are rated 0 to 69. 0 means absolutely horrible with no redeeming qualities, whether it's the device or that specific category. And of course, 69 on the other end means it's absolute god tier, something that cannot be beaten in that specific category or that device. Those 7 categories are the unboxing experience, internals, first impressions, ease of use, customizability, controls, and finally, value. After reviewing each category and giving them a score, I'll put it all together and give you the overall score by rounding to the nearest whole number on average. And then, of course, we'll go through the top pros and cons of the device, and I'll let you know who should consider this device and who should consider skipping it. So let's kick off things with the unboxing experience. First, I want to mention these devices are provided by TrimUI, and TrimUI has gone out of their way to allow me to have all of my own say. They have no input on what I say about any of their devices. They just agree to send me a device for review, so it was provided by them, aka sponsored by them, but in no way did I receive any money. And then in no way did they ask for any type of information to be expressed during my videos, just for me to provide my honest opinion. And as you can see, my original device is this green color. Now, I love it, especially for the camera. Not everyone will love it, and I completely understand that. And so does TrimUI. That's why they do offer other colorway options, and they will be on the screen now. You can get a pink color with pink buttons. You can also get a gunmetal gray colored device that has black buttons, and you can get this green with green buttons. And then they've just released the silver with black buttons and the black with black buttons. So if you want full stealth mode, the black is way to go. If you want more in-your-face tech looking with some contrast and some industrialization to it, go with the silver color. And I say that because, yes, I have the green one. And one of the great things is that TrimUI has actually sent me another device to review, and it's one of their new colors. But before I get to that, I also want to show you that if you don't feel like metal is the right option for you, they also do have their original devices that were made out of plastic and still high quality devices. And they came in black and white if you want something traditional. The black has black buttons, and the white has kind of a gray colored button. And then you have purple with purple buttons, and you have the red with red buttons. Now, if I had had my channel when the original TrimUI Brick had came out, I would have, of course, chosen the red because red is my favorite color, and it pops on camera. But that's why I chose the green here, because for me, the green really pops here as well, both in my hand as well as for that. Now, of course, we'll get into more details about that, but let's talk about the unboxing experience first and foremost, because that is the first category for a reason. And the great thing about the unboxing experience is you don't have to watch my previous videos to know what it's like. Because as I mentioned, they did send me another device to check out during this video. Again, all opinion is my own, but they asked me to take a look at it, so I'm happy to do that. So let's take a look at this device, see if it's any different than previously. I don't know what they've included in here, so let's take a look. A really nice TrimUI box, just like the previous one. Oh, wow. Okay. So I do have the TrimUI Brick Hammer here. And let's see, this one is colored silver. And oh, they sent me the black one as well. So I have both of the new colors. I had no idea. Maybe I'll give that as a giveaway. I'm not sure yet, but I think that's really awesome. So let's set these to the side. I was wondering why the box was quite heavy. So TrimUI, you outdid yourselves, and I really appreciate that. So let's take a look at the silver because that's what I had thought I was getting all along. Using the P. Joe, aka my wife's box cutter here, because no jerry rig everything box cutter, but that's all right. All right, now just to show you what we get in the box before we look at this device. Of course, we get an instruction manual, which is leaps and bounds above some other devices that now just give us a little piece of paper with a QR code. I like to have it tangibly in my hand to read. And as you can see, it is in English and also in simplified Chinese. So if you know either one of those languages, you're good to go. Of course, we get a USB-A to a USB-C charging cable. So the thing to remember about this is a slow charging device. So do not use your phone's fast charger. That is the wrong thing to do. What you want to do is either use your phone charger from 10 plus years ago, or if your wall adapter has its own USB-A port that you can charge things on, use that. But do not use a fast charger. That could hurt your device. And then, unlike a lot of other companies, they say, look, we know that you may not be happy with your options that we give you on the back of this device. So because we know that, we're going to give you options. And you can see that the shoulder buttons come in different sizes. So you can choose what works best for you. Now, of course, they also have on their website that they provided in my previous one, alternate keycaps. These are clear. The reason that clear is pretty cool, there is RGB lighting around your shoulder buttons. So if you want to make it as transparent as possible, you can get these transparent ones, which you can see my previous ones here, they are clear. And then here are the green ones that I replaced on my green one. So I went half green and half transparent previously. What will I do this time? I'm not sure. Well, let's find out. Anything snuck under here? Nope, doesn't look like it. So that's everything that we get in the box. I'm going to keep these out for now. Of course, put our little manual back here. All right. And then here it is. I love this contrast with the black buttons with the industrial silver look. Very interesting to have the black panel here. Now, of course, I've seen where you can take this off and then you can have this engraved if you wish as well. You can see, let me see if I can see it on the camera. You can see their little geometric shape logo here as well, kind of here, but obviously this is much smaller. So yes, there is RGB lighting here and here and here and here. And then for you to even charge it, there's RGB lighting here as well on your power button. Now, these buttons you can order on their website. So again, if you want red buttons with your silver color, you can order those on their website because they believe in customization. So you can see the ones that they've included here are relatively similar in height. So you really don't need any tools. See if I can't do it here. Just wiggle back and forth and up at the same time. See if I can. There you go. So then you can replace it with another one if you wish. Quick and easy, no tools required. Now, of course, you do need tools to be able to replace your face buttons, but that's to be expected and a little bit more hands-on if you wish to go that route. All right. So far off to an awesome start. Now, what I'm going to do is grab out of my favorite case of the year, and in all honesty, it really is my favorite case of the year because I love protecting my device. I love that the cables have their own zipper section. And I also love that you get a pull tab to pull your device out. I don't know why more devices don't come with the little pull tab to pop your device out, but they did. They thought about it. Plus, it's a hard shell. So if Dominic, my son that's 22 months old, decided to grab my device in the case and throw it, which he loves to throw things. If you've ever had a child of that age, you'll know what I mean. I just love that I know that it's going to be protected as well. And it has a nice kind of velvety feel, really high quality. And it's only like $10 on their website. It's a worthwhile investment if you ask me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my micro SD card from here and put it in here. Because if you buy this device without a micro SD card, it's going to not have any games on it. But if you buy it with a micro SD, then you get some games. And one thing to note, if you're new to this hobby, I know we are accustomed to, in our phones, putting the label side up, but for the vast majority of the handhelds in this market, you want to go upside down. Again, I know it seems counterintuitive, but that's the way it is. And then here's our power button. This is really cool because the RGB for this, it's red while you're charging it, and then once it's fully charged, it turns green. So again, gives you that little bit of knowledge without having to grab your device if you're charging it to see how fully charged it is. Let's do a quick tour in case, again, you are new here. So you have a nice D-pad, very nice and quiet with some clickiness, but it's quiet clicks. It's just you can feel the clicks. Same thing for the face buttons. They feel really nice whenever you press on them. Good size, especially considering you only have a 3.2-inch screen. And then, of course, you have start, select, and their button. That is kind of like a function button. And then you can program these buttons. You can also put RGB here as well. These speakers, surprisingly, are some of the best speakers I have heard all year. I know it seems crazy to say that for a device this size, but it really is. And like I say, you get that panel versus the green one was color matching. So they've really gone for that contrast with the silver. And I'm really loving it to start with. Again, I do love contrast, especially for the camera. So it's really awesome. Let's hold down that power button. And another thing I love about this device is that we have a volume mute switch right here. Nice and simple. You're playing a game, you need to mute it, just slide it down. And then when you turn it back up, it's exactly where your volume was before. I love that customizability because, again, you never know when you need to quickly mute something and you want to pick up where you were later. So it feels really nice to be able to do that. See, my game library is filling out. You can see the RGB lighting up as well. Okay, let's turn down the volume. I love that you can see the percentage of volume as well, not just a bar. Okay, good. So yes, the unboxing experience is still really good compared to other devices. I mean, I just spent $500, $600 on devices that only came with a charging cable. This gives us the choice of how we want our device to be. So included accessories automatically nets you extra points. So previously I had given this device a 45 out of 69. But honestly, the presentation feels professional. The metal body still is fantastic when you take it out of the box. And the new colors look absolutely awesome. So for me, I'm going to have to upgrade it from 45 to 50. And I feel 100% justified in doing that. Now that we've unboxed it and we can appreciate all of the new colors that are available for this device, let's talk about what powers this compact gaming machine under the hood. So previously I gave this device a 42 for the internals. And let me break down what's actually inside it so you can understand my rationale. You're getting an Allwinner A133P SoC that also includes the PowerVR GE8300 GPU in one chip. It comes with 1 gigabyte of LPDDR3 RAM, and it comes with 8 gigabytes of internal eMMC storage, but that is mainly meant for the operating system, and then you're meant to include a micro SD card to expand beyond that. Now, luckily, the micro SD card slot does support up to 1 terabyte. If for some reason you want 1 terabyte of games on your handheld, you absolutely can. Now, for the larger handhelds, I can absolutely understand why you would want that, because again, you would be saving movies or disc-based games like PS2 and PS3 ROMs. I don't know why you'd need 1 terabyte for this handheld, but that's not a dig at this handheld. That's just an honest assessment because of the fact that you're more limited here. This device supports Wi-Fi B, G, and N for the Wi-Fi connectivity bands, and you get Bluetooth 4.2 for wireless controllers, which is huge for multiplayer sessions if you want multiple people playing on this device at once. Now, one of the things you can, of course, do is you can buy a stand where you plug in your charger on the bottom, and then on the top, you actually have another USB-C port that you can plug in your controller or use the Bluetooth for a controller. and be able to play multiplayer on your screen if you so wish. However, there is something that does disappoint me slightly about the internals, and this device does not include a real-time clock or an RTC. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is an RTC and why should I care? An RTC is a real-time clock that keeps track of time and day even when your device is powered off. Certain games, particularly those like Pokemon, Mystery Dungeon, Animal Crossing, and some real-time RPGs, rely on a system clock to function properly or to trigger time-specific events. Without an RTC, you lose that functionality. It's not a deal breaker because this device is primarily focused on retro game market from the NES through the Dreamcast era, and most of those didn't rely on real-time based mechanics. But it's worth noting if you want to play those specific titles. And after 2 months of testing this device alongside other devices, I feel the score is more than justified, still remaining at 42. It's more powerful than some of the handhelds I've received this year, so it sits slightly above average, which again would be 34. But compared to many of the other handhelds on the market, it's not the most powerful by any stretch of the imagination. So I feel justified with the slightly above average score remaining the same. With a solid understanding of the internals, let's talk about how this device actually feels when you pick it up and start playing. When I first reviewed this device, I gave the first impressions a 55 out of 69. And honestly, that score holds up even better now after 2 months of use. That feeling of the cast aluminum body in your hands feels absolutely fantastic. In a cool room, it has that premium coolness when you first touch it that feels absolutely incredible, and you know that you're feeling a premium high quality device, not a cheap one. You power it on, and the device has a relatively high pixel density screen for a 3.2-inch display. So everything looks incredibly sharp. Speaking of which, if you remember a few years ago, whenever Apple came up with the idea of a Retina display, they said that a Retina display was anything with 300 pixels per square inch, which means inch by inch, 300 little dots lighting up the screen. Well, this has 400 of them. So this is 33% more pixels than what a Retina display has according to Apple. And the buttons across the board feel really good to press. And after 2 months of heavy use, they haven't degraded one bit. They still feel absolutely fantastic with just the right feel. Now, the elephant in the room is this device doesn't have analog sticks. Looking at it, you might think, I want analog sticks for modern games. But here's the thing you have to understand. The market for this device isn't the market looking for analog sticks. This is a niche device for retro gaming. It forces you to go into the right It forces you to go in the right mindset. If you want to play PlayStation 1 games, you need to curate your list of PS1 games that don't require analog sticks. Games like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy VII, Chrono Trigger, and tactical RPGs all play beautifully without them. You get fantastic experiences with games from the Game Boy series of devices, the Sega Genesis, the SNES, the NES, and everything before that era. As long as you go into it with the right expectations and desires in your mind, this device sets you up for an amazing first impression. But if you're expecting high-end devices that can play PS2 games, you're going to be disappointed. One, it's not capable of those games, and two, analog sticks would be necessary for most PS2 games because they were designed for analog sticks in mind. My recommendation is to purchase a micro SD card when you are buying this device from TrimUI, as they will curate the list for you for games that they feel are appropriate for this device. After 2 months, I still feel the first impressions deserve a relatively high 55 out of 69. It hasn't changed because it's still an excellent first experience. Now that we understand what to expect going in, let's talk about how easy is this device to actually get to use once you own it. For ease of use, here's my honest take 2 months after use. Someone picking up this device who's not tech savvy, as long as you put in the micro SD card before you turn on the device for the first time, you're going to be up and playing a game within a minute. That is easy to use by definition. Learning how to exit a game might take a bit longer because you're not taking a disk out or a cartridge out, but once you get it, it makes sense and it becomes second nature. What's interesting is there are many other custom firmware options available on the market. If you want to make it even easier, you can install things like MinUI, which gives you extremely simple black and white graphics to select your console and then select your game. If you want something a bit more modern and feature-rich, you can do that too. The flexibility means that this device is easy to use out of the box and even easier if you upgrade to a different firmware. Previously, I gave it a 55 out of 69, but after 2 months with this device and seeing how non-technical people interact with it, I think it's justified to bump it up to a 58 out of 69. The learning curve is even gentler than I initially thought, and customization through firmware is even more accessible than I had expected. With ease of use handled, let's shift to the category that is always my favorite to discuss. If you know my channel at all, you know customizability is my absolute favorite category because I love the idea of making a device truly my own. With that in mind, I feel it's absolutely justified to give this a 68 out of 69 in my initial review, which was the highest score I had given any category on any device all year. After 2 months, I'm sticking with that score because the customization possibilities have only expanded. If I want different colored shoulder buttons, I can do that directly from TrimUI as a first-party option. If I want different colored face buttons, I can also do that directly from TrimUI. Regardless of how I'm feeling, they've got options that can get you taken care of, even if I'm feeling in the holiday spirit. And the thing I really love is the various firmware options truly change how the device looks and feels. If you're someone who wants simple graphics, you can select your console through MenuI and you'll be perfectly happy with it. But if you want that feature-rich look that makes it feel like it's a true console in your hand, those options are also available through you quickly and easily. Then you have the third-party creator ecosystem. My grip that I absolutely love acts as both a grip and a case for this device. Just pop it open, put it into its little slots here, and there we go. Now I have a nice grip. Makes it feel like a controller to play, much more comfortable to play as well. But then maybe I'm done. So then I pop it open, put the screen side down on the nice felt pad, and now I have a case protecting my device with a little magnet keeping it closed. I love this flexibility, and I'll have a link to his store on the description because he did a great job and I want to give him kudos. When I first made my review, his storefront was down because he was taking a little bit of a break, but he's back, so I want to make sure he gets kudos for this, and he did a great job with this. Very comfortable to hold, nice and grippy on the front, and fits beautifully in the pocket. So between first party and third party accessories, you're completely covered with this device. The original OS is customizable enough to enjoy out of the box, but there are many other firmware options that let you really make it feel like something that is yours. So I feel justified in giving it a 68 out of 69 still. With customization mastered, let's move to how this device actually feels in your hands during gameplay. For controls, I previously gave it a 63 out of 69 because the D-pad is really nice to use and feels fantastic. The face buttons feel really nice as you press down on them, and even the start and select buttons feel good when you're using them. But I want to reconsider this score now after 2 months. Going back and reflecting on user feedback I've received and thinking about the market this device serves, I understand where some people will deduct points because of the lack of analog sticks. The upcoming ANEO Pocket Vert is coming with virtual analog sticks, and some people feel that they need analog sticks, whether virtual or legitimate ones, and of course, this will never have them. After going back and forth in my mind, I understand that perspective. The controls that are here are truly fantastic and are honestly some of the best I've used all year. But I do feel valid in dropping the score because of the lack of analog sticks. Even though the device is designed for games that don't require them, it's a legitimate limitation for players who want to expand beyond the core retro audience. So I'm adjusting this down to 61 out of 69. What's here is fantastic, but I feel valid in acknowledging that limitation. With controls evaluated, we arrive at the final category, which is always the most difficult for me to calculate. The value category is always challenging because everyone's situation and desires are different, and I understand that. Previously, I gave this a 60 out of 69, which represents a super high quality device at its price point. After 2 months of seeing more devices in the $50 to $100 price range come through my hands, I want to revisit the score. Currently, I'm working on a review for the Mangmi Air X and others in this price range. These devices have bigger screens, but they're also horizontal handhelds compared to the Brick Hammer, which is a traditional Game Boy style vertical handheld. So they're going after a slightly different aesthetic while serving the same price conscientious market. The Brick Hammer is relatively similar in power to those devices, though it uses a custom build of Linux versus Android. It's a completely different experience, but I have to acknowledge that this device lives in that competitive range. This is not a $30 AliExpress special. This is a high quality machine that deserves its price point. Here's what I keep coming back to though. People tend to gravitate towards larger screens. Look at the cell phone market over the last 15 years. It's absolutely ridiculous how much bigger the phones have gotten. People see a bigger screen, gravitate toward it, and then want an even bigger screen. So this 3.2-inch screen for some will feel way too small. I personally think it looks great. I had LASIK last year, so my vision is much better than it used to be, and I still think that this display is fantastic. The image quality is super sharp and more than adequate for taking out of your pocket and playing for 10 minutes on a bus or during a lunch break at work. The good news is if you don't care about the metal build and you want a plastic model, TrimUI has you covered with a slightly cheaper device that's still excellent quality with excellent screen, great buttons, and great performance for what you're getting. Don't expect PS2 quality, but PS1 and PSP will really shine on this device. So I'm going to adjust the value score slightly down to 58 out of 69. It's still a great value proposition, but in a competitive market, it lands here, and I feel justified with its new score. All right, fam, let's put it all together and see how the TrimUI Brick Hammer stacks up after 2 months of use. The unboxing experience improved from 45 to 50 points because I've come to appreciate that manufacturers still include accessories in the box that makes it feel like it's your own right away. And that's becoming increasingly rare. The internals remain a slightly above average 42 because its average performance serves the device's purposes perfectly. First impressions maintain their strong 55 points because after weeks with this device, it still impresses me with its button quality and screen clarity. Ease of use jumped from 55 to 58 points because I've seen firsthand how accessible this device truly is for non-technical users once you drop in a micro SD card. Customizability stays rock solid at 68 points as the firmware and accessory ecosystem continues expanding and improving itself to be even better. The controls dropped slightly from a 63 to 61 as I want to acknowledge the lack of analog sticks on this device while praising its exceptional face buttons and D-pad. Finally, the value was adjusted from 60 down to 58 points, reflecting on the competitive market reality while still recognizing this as a premium retro device. Adding all of that together gives us a new score from 54 points to a new 56 points. So after 2 months with the TrimUI Brick Hammer, my overall long-term score has maintained its incredible score and improved it slightly. So that said, what are the top pros and cons of the device? Well, first and foremost is still the premium build quality that actually lasts. The CNC machined metal aluminum body isn't just for show. After 2 months of use, this device looks and feels like it did on day one with no scratches, dents, or any issues with the body. And the outstanding D-pad and face buttons. After all, whenever we're playing a game, what's one of the most important things is the buttons that we use. And I have to acknowledge the D-pad is still one of the best D-pads I've used. And the face buttons still feel like some of the best I've used all year. And the shoulder buttons feel really great, especially once you customize them to your preference for shoulder buttons, which again, I love that we have that option. Speaking of which, also the phenomenal customization ecosystem. From the first party swapping out of the buttons and shoulder buttons to the third party firmwares and the thirdware Etsy ecosystem, they have you covered in all different ways to make this device truly yours. And speaking of which, it's a genuine portable device that's great for daily carry. Why do I say that? Because it's small, no analog sticks, nothing that's going to be sticking out of your pockets and making it uncomfortable. It's just nice and sleek and feels really great even in your pocket. That said, taking a look at the cons, of course, I do have to mention the 3.2-inch screen still feels small for modern preferences, even with an excellent pixel density. Some users find the screen too small after being conditioned by years of larger and larger and larger screens. It's a fantastic screen. And two, again, no analog sticks limit some of the game libraries that you can use for it. For example, if you want to play PS1, you want to curate your PS1 catalog to be games like NBA Jam that were built without the need of analog sticks. And the missing real-time clock breaks real-time based games. Games like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Animal Crossing, and time-triggered RPGs won't function properly without an RTC. It's a niche limitation, but it's a legitimate gap for players who want to experience those games. And for some, the battery life at about 5 hours might feel a bit too short. While 5 hours is reasonable for retro gaming devices, modern users are accustomed to 8+ hours on their handhelds, might find themselves hunting for a charger sooner rather than later. So who do I feel should consider this device? Well, Retro Robbie. You might be a Retro Robbie if you grew up with the original Game Boy and spent countless hours playing Tetris, Mario Land, and Link's Awakening. You might want to experience that authentic Game Boy form factor with modern screen and premium build quality. You'll appreciate the vertical layout, the classic aesthetic, and the ability to carry it in your pocket while having your favorite retro titles in your pocket. The TrimUI Brick Hammer isn't trying to be something it's not, and neither are you. And Simple Steve. You might be a Simple Steve if you don't need 1,000 features or the latest cutting edge power. You want to pick up a quality device, pop in the micro SD card with carefully curated games, and have an excellent portable gaming experience without any fuss or complexity. You appreciate that the Brick Hammer does one thing really well instead of trying to do everything adequately. Just grab it and play. No technical setup required. You don't want to worry about it. That said, who should skip it? Well, Power Hungry Pete. You might be a Power Hungry Pete if you want to play the most powerful handheld possible that can play all of your modern games, including ambitious emulation like the Secret Console and PS3 games, or play your Steam library. You're always chasing the next big performance leap, and you want a handheld to handle anything you can throw at it. The Allwinner A133P is optimized for retro classics, not cutting edge performance. So the devices simply won't satisfy your need for raw power and versatility. Or Big Screen Brenda. You might be a Big Screen Brenda if you believe the mantra that bigger screens are always better and you struggle reading or playing comfortably on smaller devices. You want maximum screen real estate for your gaming experience, and the 3.2-inch display on the Brick Hammer is going to feel limiting to you. There are excellent horizontal devices with 5-inch plus screens that would serve you much better and give you a much more immersive experience. So circling back to the question that I asked at the beginning, after 2 months with the TrimUI Brick Hammer, is this tiny 3.2-inch vertical handheld actually becoming my favorite gaming device of the year? And does it deserve a spot in your pocket? The answer is more nuanced than a simple yes or no. This device won't be everyone's favorite because it does one thing beautifully instead of trying to do everything adequately. It's not the most powerful. It doesn't have the biggest screen. It won't play Android-based games or a lot of those more modern emulators such as the Secret Console and the PS3. But what it does offer in a cohesive, durable, portable gaming experience that feels premium while maintaining accessibility to both technical and non-technical users alike. Is it my favorite gaming device of the year? Honestly, it's in my top 5 without a doubt. It has earned that through consistent, reliable performance and a form factor that makes me actually want to carry it every day. Do I recommend it? Absolutely, but only if you understand what you're buying. You're not buying the Swiss Army knife of handhelds. You're buying one of the best Game Boy clones to ever be made. If this review resonated with you in any way, please drop a like and let me know in the comments. Would you rock the TrimUI Brick Hammer? And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the time. Hit the subscribe button and enable notifications so you don't miss any of my future review videos. And if you're new here, also subscribe to my blog, pnix-handhelds.com. Link on the screen now so you can see it. I will never spam you, but that allows me to communicate with you. And we do subscriber giveaways every 1,000 subscribers. So we will continue doing that in perpetuity. Even if I get to 1 million, that'll be a lot of subscriber giveaways, but you all will be worth it because I appreciate all of you. And I have to do it this way because I can't send you private messages through Google. So this allows me to send you a message through my website. And winners are drawn during live streams or during Wednesday's videos. If it's not a live stream, it will be on a Wednesday video. Your support means everything to me and this channel and the community that we're building together. And until next time, this has been P. Nick.